They forget how many times I lost everything along the way. Look, the market can make you rich, and if you don't learn how to protect yourself, that same market will take everything back. Most traders spend their entire lives chasing profits. Very few ever learn how to protect what they've already earned, and that is the reason I am still here. I have seen men make fortunes before breakfast and end the day completely bankrupt, not because they couldn't read charts or tape, but because they couldn't read themselves. If you don't manage risk, the market doesn't even need to defeat you. You will defeat yourself. You think the market has changed. Algorithms, charts, blinking screens, crypto coins. Let me tell you the truth. Nothing has changed. Only the costumes are different. Greed is the same. Fear is the same. And the same illusions are destroying people today. That is why my 5 rules still work, because they were not born from theory. They were born from pain. I still remember my first lesson in risk. I was barely 16 years old. People called me the boy plunger. I started to believe I was invincible, turning small money into big money, reading the tape faster than the clerks. I thought I could never lose. Then one day I walked into the same bucket shop where I had traded hundreds of times, and my name was written on the wall, banned, not because I broke the rules, but because I beat them. The house always wins unless a kid like Livermore walks in. But here is the irony. The same skill that made me thousands back then almost destroyed me later. Because once you believe you cannot lose, you stop managing risk. And the market, the great equalizer, punishes arrogance faster than ignorance. I have seen it happen again and again. A trader doubles his account and then loses everything in a single move. A speculator takes 3 winning trades in a row and starts believing he is a genius until the 4th trade wipes him out. You call it bad luck. I call it poor risk management. Risk is not your enemy. Risk is your business partner, and if you don't respect it, it will destroy you. Every trader needs to understand one thing before learning any strategy. You do not trade the market. You trade yourself. The market does not care about your entry. It does not know your dreams. It does not reward hard work or punish laziness. The market simply mirrors your strengths and magnifies your weaknesses, and risk is the magnifying glass. When you are greedy, it exposes you. When you are fearful, it freezes you. And when you are disciplined, it rewards you. When I made big money for the first time, I thought I had won the game. In 1907, I made $3 million in a single market panic. $3 million in 1907. Imagine that feeling. And then what followed? Ruin and isolation. Because I broke my own rules. I let success go to my head. Every winning trade plants a dangerous seed, the illusion that you are special. But the market is a brutal teacher. It does not praise you. It does not care. It simply waits for you to forget your own rules. Risk management is not about fear. It is about survival. The man who survives the longest is the one who wins in the end. But most traders never survive long enough to learn. They want excitement. They want to feel like a genius. They want to be right. Real professionals don't care about being right. They care about one thing only, staying alive. Because the first rule of trading is not making money. The first rule is not losing money. Think about Wall Street in 1929. The city was vibrating with greed. Men in suits were celebrating on borrowed money. Champagne flowed like water. Everyone believed the market could only go up, and at that exact moment, I was short. When the whole world was buying, I was betting against it. Not because I had a crystal ball, but because I followed my rules. I managed risk and never trusted the crowd. When the crash came, I made over $100 million. But here is what most people never tell you. Even with that success, I was never comfortable. Because I knew one wrong trade, one broken rule, and everything could disappear. That is the real meaning of risk management. It is not a safety net. It is a discipline. A constant awareness that nothing is ever certain. If I were sitting in front of you right now, watching you stare at charts and chase the next trade, I would tell you this: you are not losing because of the market. You are losing because you do not respect risk. You overtrade. You take positions that are too large. You revenge trade after losses. You hold losers hoping they will come back. You break your stops and then call it bad luck. But the truth is, every losing trader makes the same mistake. He believes risk can be avoided. It cannot. Risk must be managed. I learned this lesson the hard way. When I was young, I thought winning the game was everything. Later, I understood the game is about avoiding destruction. That understanding cost me millions. In return, it gave me wisdom. And that is what I am giving you now. Because the one thing that keeps a trader in the game long enough to win is respect for risk. Over the years, I distilled my philosophy into 5 simple principles. 5 risk management rules that built my fortune and lifted me back up after every fall. These are not tricks. These are not secrets. They are disciplines. Born from blood, sweat, and bankruptcy. And they still work today, because as long as humans trade, these truths remain. The first rule is simple. Never risk more than you can afford to lose. It sounds obvious, but this single rule would have saved more traders than any indicator or system. Trading in bucket shops taught me that every trade tested my nerves. As the stakes grew, I learned that courage does not mean betting everything. Courage means knowing how much you can lose and still come back tomorrow. Amateurs bet as if the market owes them a return. Professionals bet, knowing the market can be wrong, and that they can be wrong too. Take risks small enough to stay in the game, because if you are wiped out, it does not matter how right you were. In 1917, I made a massive mistake. Too many trades, too much leverage, too much confidence. The market turned, pressure closed in, and I sold everything. Offices shut down. I went into isolation. The newspapers called it the Livermore collapse. But I did not collapse. I learned that a bad trade can be recovered from. Lost capital cannot. When I returned, I adopted a new motto: protect capital first, grow it second. That principle has saved me more than once. Traders confuse risk-taking with recklessness. They think position size shows courage. It shows ignorance. Real courage is patience. Real power is restraint. When you risk within your means, your emotions stay under control. The moment you bet outside your comfort zone, you stop trading and start gambling. And gambling always ends the same way. The next time you place a trade, do not ask how much you can make. Ask how much you can lose and still see tomorrow. If the answer is everything, you have already lost. I paid millions to learn that lesson. You don't have to. The market does not care about your story. It does not care how hard you backtested or how many promises you made to yourself. The market respects only one thing: discipline. Every rule I live by was carved by pain. Every dollar I saved came from refusing to repeat the same mistake. That is why my first rule remains unchanged. Never risk more than you can afford to lose. This is not about money. It is about freedom. The freedom to trade without fear. The freedom to sleep at night. The freedom to think clearly without desperation poisoning your decisions. Because desperate traders make emotional decisions, and emotions are deadly. In this business, when I look back, I don't remember the money. I remember moments of clarity. The realization that survival is the real edge. The sound of the ticker. The smell of the office, the heartbeat when a stock turns against you, and that calm voice saying, cut it. You can re-enter later. Survive today so you can trade tomorrow. That voice, that discipline, was the difference between ruin and wealth. And it will be the same for you. Listen carefully, because in the next lesson, I will share the rule that saved me more times than luck ever did. The rule that separates traders who last from those who disappear. Rule number 2, always cut losses quickly. It sounds simple, but this rule alone decides who survives and who becomes just another story. Every major disaster in the market starts the same way. A small loss that someone refused to take. I have seen people calmly accept small losses, only to be destroyed by the larger loss they refuse to close. Why? Because the first loss hurts the ego, not the wallet. And most people would rather lose everything than admit they were wrong. When I was young, I made the same mistake. Bought a stock. It moved against me, and I told myself it will come back. Those 3 words have buried more traders than any bear market. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is a disease. And every time I followed it, I paid in blood and dollars. I still remember one trade clearly. I went long Union Pacific, fully convinced it was a sure thing. When the stock started falling, I told myself it was just a shakeout. But it kept falling and I kept waiting. By the time I admitted I was wrong, it was too late. That loss was not just financial. It destroyed confidence. The kind of loss that whispers you should have known better. That day I made a promise. No hesitation. No prayers. No hoping the market would be kind. If a stock did not behave as expected, I was out. No debate. No delay. No mercy. Taking a loss is not punishment. It is protection. A small loss is the cost of doing business. A large loss is the penalty for doing business the wrong way. Most traders believe cutting losses means failure. I believe the opposite. It is professionalism. A soldier retreats not because he is weak, but because he wants to fight another day. Trading is a war, not on charts, but in the mind. The market allows you to be wrong once for free. After that, it charges interest. Every tick against you adds cost. The longer you wait, the more expensive it becomes. That is why I made this rule: never let a small loss become a big one. The moment the reason for entry disappears, I am out. I do not care if the stock bounces after I sell. I would rather take a small loss on a false signal than be stubborn and be destroyed. Never lose everything just because your heart won't accept being wrong. Now you have to decide what you want more, to be right or to be rich, because those two rarely travel together. I have watched traders with perfect systems get destroyed simply because they could not take a loss. And I have watched traders with mediocre systems thrive because they were ruthless on exits. The system will not save you. Discipline will. That is what always cut losses quickly. Really means not in emotion, not in fear, but with precision, with the confidence that your survival matters more than your pride. One morning in 1924, I was long several stocks that were performing beautifully. The market had been rising for weeks, and I started to relax. Then that morning I noticed something. The tape was sluggish. Volume was lighter. Buying pressure was fading. Something was wrong. Most people ignored it. They were too busy counting their paper profits. I closed every position before noon. That same afternoon, the market broke hard. I survived the crash because I did not argue with the tape. That one decision saved me millions. You will never regret taking a small loss. But the one time you refuse to take a loss, you will never forget it. Remember this. Losses are tuition. They teach you the price of hesitation. Pay them early and cheaply. If you delay, the market will take everything with interest. And that brings me to the next rule. The rule that keeps your small losses small and allows your big wins to become big. Rule 3, never average down. Listen carefully. This one rule ruins more traders than almost any other. When a trade moves against you, the average person thinks, I'll buy more lower, my cost will improve. When it bounces, I'll make even more profit. It sounds logical, it even feels smart, but in truth, it is suicide dressed up as strategy. Because what are you really doing? You are adding more risk to a losing idea. You are putting money into weakness, not strength. You are voting twice for the same mistake. I have watched fortunes vanish that way. And yes, I made that mistake myself. Early in my career, I used to pyramid into losses like a fool. I was convinced the market was wrong, and I was right. But here is the truth. The market is never wrong. Only your opinion is wrong. The tape does not care about your logic. The chart does not care about your reasons. When you add to a losing position, you are not defending capital. You are defending ego. And ego is the most expensive thing you will ever own. That is why I made another rule for myself. Never add to a losing position. Add only to a winning position. When I buy and the stock rises, the market is confirming my judgment. That is when I consider adding. But if the stock falls, that is the market's way of saying you are wrong. And I learned that when the market speaks, you listen. That is how you survive. That is how you build consistency. Because trading is not a game of proving your opinions. It is a game of protecting capital. The trader who averages down is like a man standing in a storm holding up an umbrella to stop the wind. He is fighting nature instead of accepting it. That is why, never average down. The market rewards humility, not stubbornness. Cut the loss quickly and move on. There will always be another trade, but there will never be another version of you. What is the greatest gift a trader can give himself? The ability to stop the bleeding. Before it becomes fatal, and that takes us to Rule 4, let your winners run. When you train yourself to take small losses, you earn the right to let profits breathe. But most traders do the exact opposite. They cut profits quickly and let losses grow. They fear giving back a little gain, yet they ignore the slow, ugly growth of a loss hiding behind ego. I learned to do the opposite. I never argued with strength. When the tape confirmed my judgment, I stayed in the trade until the market itself told me to get out. You have to learn to be patient with success and ruthless with failure. That balance keeps you alive. When I caught the great bear market in 1929, I did not exit because I felt uncomfortable. I exited because the market told me the time had come. Patience earned me millions. Pride would have taken it all away. Let your profits grow naturally. Do not interfere. Do not try to catch the exact top. Nobody does. The tape whispers first. Learn to hear that whisper before the crowd screen starts shouting. Traders ask me, when should I exit a winning trade? I tell them, when the market stops rewarding your patience. Not hope, not fear, patience. If the market moves in your favor, hold. If it hesitates, observe. If it turns, act. That is how one small win changes an entire career. I have always said the big money is not in buying. It is not in selling. It is in sitting. Most people cannot sit. They are too nervous, too greedy, too restless. They crave action, but action without control becomes destruction. Trading is not a game of constant motion. It is a game of waiting for the right motion. The hardest thing in this business is not buying or selling. The hardest thing is waiting. And patience is an edge that never decays. That is the lesson. Behind every rule you have heard so far, never risk more than you can afford to lose. Always cut losses quickly. Never average down. Let your winners run. Each rule protects the next. Each rule exists to protect you from yourself. But there is one final rule. The rule that holds all the others together. The rule most traders learn too late. Rule 5. Protect your mind as fiercely as you protect your capital. An account can be rebuilt. A fortune can be rebuilt. But once confidence breaks, once judgment turns into fear or rage, the game is over. The market does not only take your money, it takes your clarity. It takes the part of you that can act without hesitation. And when that balance is gone, a man enters a spiral. He no longer trades from reason. He trades from revenge. I still remember the day it happened to me. I was coming off one of the biggest winning runs of my life. My name was in the newspapers. People whispered about my trades like they were gospel. And then I lost. Not once. Not twice. I lost in a way that shook my foundation. At first I told myself it was just bad luck, a wrong turn. But the truth was simple. I was exhausted, emotionally drained. Every small movement of the tape started to feel like a personal insult. I was not trading the market. I was trading my ego, and then I understood something. The most dangerous thing a trader can lose is not money. It is composure. If you let the market inside your head, it will twist every thought, every decision, every instinct. You will start seeing setups where nothing exists. You will enter too early, exit too late, chase what already left, and in a short time you become what every trader fears most, unpredictable to yourself. I have watched men destroy themselves, not because they did not understand the market, but because they did not understand their own minds. They mistook excitement for opportunity. They mistook fear for logic. They treated silence, the quiet time, as failure. The truth is, most of trading is not trading. It is waiting, watching, preparing, sitting on your hands while others jump into the fire. A wise trader once told me, you do not make money in the market. You make money by waiting for the market to come to you. At the time I thought he was lazy. Today I know he was rich. When your mind is calm, you can see patterns before they form. You can sense weakness before the crowd does. But when emotions take control, even the clearest signal becomes noise. That is why I stopped measuring success by profit and started measuring it by peace of mind. When you can watch a trade go against you without flinching, when you can close a loss without anger, without frustration, and walk away calmly, that is when you have mastered this game. Because this is not a money game. It is an endurance game. The market will test you in ways you cannot imagine. Sometimes it will lure you with easy wins. Sometimes it will torment you with sudden losses. And when your confidence is at its highest, it will test you hardest. It has to be that way, otherwise the market will mock you. And through all of this, you must remain steady. That is why protecting your mind is not optional. It is survival. Every night I stepped away from the charts. I went for walks. I sat in silence and let the noise fade, because clarity is not found in the market. Clarity is something you bring into the market. And once it is gone, no strategy, no system, no signal can save you. Remember one thing, my friend, if you master your emotions, you will master risk. And if you master risk, you will master your destiny. Because trading is not about beating the market, it is about beating yourself, the impatient version of you, the greedy version of you, the fearful version of you. Every great trader's journey is really a battle against the man in the mirror. And those who win that battle do not just make money. They make history. So tomorrow, when you sit at your desk, when the charts start flashing and your heartbeat speeds up, remember this: you are not here to predict. You are here to survive. Profits come to those who last. I have lived through booms and crashes. I have seen fortunes built and disappear like morning effo. And through all of it, the rules never changed. The faces of the market are new, the machines are new, the games are new, but it still presses the same buttons: fear, greed, hope, ego. If you want to win, master those, because that is real risk management. The kind no book can teach. I am not saying these things to sound wise. I am saying them because I bled for every lesson. And if my story saves you from one ruin, one sleepless night, one moment of despair, then my losses were not wasted. Now you have heard my rules. 5 rules, each carved from pain, but they only work if you work them. So before you place your next trade, I ask you to do one thing. Take a breath. Ask yourself honestly, am I trading from a plan or from emotion? If the answer is emotion, close the screen. Stand up. Walk away. Survive today so you can fight again tomorrow, because the market does not respect your hopes. It respects only what you can control. And control begins and ends with you. Remember this, my friend, you cannot control the market. You can only control yourself. If you do that, nothing in this business will frighten you again. If this lesson reached you, share it with another trader who needs it. And if you want to know who lasts and who disappears, stay with me. There is still much to learn. And as always, the market is watching.